Welcome. This is Dave Dinkle, and what we're going to be doing today is looking at what we lovingly call Super Freddy. This is only for designated students of AOREIA's mentoring program. So I'm starting out with a basic screen at basic search. What I'm going to do first is go to advanced search, and we're going to look at the templates that are in here. This is the template icon. What we're going to do next is drop down the choices we have. There's 14 choices there, and we're going to go through each one of them one at a time so you can actually see how they fill out. So let's start with all of these are for sale, as you'll notice. The next set are not for sale. For sales, you can start making offers immediately with your automatic contracting. The not for sales have to be done through traditional prospecting techniques. So let's look at, first of all, for sale multifamily potential REOs. Now that means that if the data is correct, things line up, it will be an REO. Occasionally they're not. I'm going to select that. If you notice, it filled automatically. Here's for sale, multifamilies, foreclosed, and we're going to go ahead and search and see how many there are. So here I go search. You notice there's only 4 in Broward County, which is where our actual search was. As you can see, it's Broward County. But it's very simple if you want to go further and look in Dade County. Just to change that, it doesn't change the template except for this specific search. Here there's 15 in Dade County. So let's go back to the search, go back to our templates, and we'll look at for sale multifamily. These are pre-foreclosed. These guys have a problem. Again, here they are, for sale Broward multifamily pre-foreclosed. We're going to hit search, 54. Now again, these are solid prospects. I'll show you one more time how to change this. Very simply, we go to Dade, click in Dade, do search again. I'm not going to show you how to change counties. Later we're going to do a different, change the zip code and do a geographic, but for now that's enough for you to see how to change counties. There's 62 of these properties. You can prospect in the Tri-County area or any county in Florida. The other counties in Florida may or may not be equity sensitive. You ask us that before you do them. So here we go. We're going to go back. We're going to go to for sale. Now these are single family homes. Potential REO. This should be typical REOs in most cases. Template fills. Do the search. There's 234. Now these are for sale, so you can make offers on those 234 in your automated contracting. Let's go look at the next one. For sale, single family homes, potential short sale, and to further narrow it down, we're looking at non-owner occupied. It's filled. Here it is. For sale. Single family pre-foreclosed. Owner occupied. No. I'm going to search. 384. Some cases you'll see there's very few results, but again you have 3 counties to search in or more. In other cases you'll see there's a lot of them. Remember, your critical mass area is to carry about 300 properties that are current. I'm going to show you literally thousands of prospects here, so there's no issue of, gee, where do I start? Start anywhere you want. Don't worry about if somebody else is putting the offer in. Just start putting in contracts. So we're going to go back to search. Once again, we're going to look at our templates. This time we're going to go down to potential short sales, non-owner occupied. Single family homes, potential short sales. Now these are owner occupied. Still very viable candidates because somewhere along the line they're going to get evicted or something will resolve their short sale issue. So I've selected that template. I'm searching. We have 601. Again, this is only one county. We're going to go back to our templates. Next one we're going to do is for sale single family probates that are not owner occupied. Now obviously if the person's deceased, he's not living there anymore, but that isn't the purpose of this. It's because somebody else has changed the mailing address. So let's pick it, select it, and then search it. There's only 11, and these change on a regular basis. These are for sale, and it's not uncommon to have a very low number of probates for sale. Beneficiaries of probates oftentimes do not want to pay a real estate commission to sell it, and they should be a target market for us. They need, in most cases, if they need the money, they need to get out of it, so they're motivated sellers. See what we got here. We said, I think we saw 11. All right, okay, so we're going to go back, templates again, and we're going to look at the probates for sale now. Everything that says for sale up and down here, you can make offers on literally immediately. We're going to select these are probates that are owner occupied. Doesn't mean the deceased person's still there. Here it is, for sale, probate, yes, single family. We're doing foreclosure any. Now if they happen to be in foreclosure and in probate, they're actually simpler to do. So I'm not going to get into that here, but those are targets for you. Owner occupied, yes. Let's see how many we have. 21. And again, I'm going to show you this once more. For example, let's look at Dade County. Unless you save this template, it's going to revert back to the default that we have it on, which was Broward County. There's only 4. So let's go back to the search. We're going to go back to our templates, and we're going to look at the next one. These are single family homes that are listed with 20% or more equity. We're going to select, and here they are, for sale, single family. Here you go, debt to equity equal or greater than 20%. So let's search. There's 1,014. Again, these are listed properties that you can literally start making offers on at any time. Back to search. We're going to go back to our templates. Next one would be not for sale. And these are not for sale multifamilies pre-foreclosed. These guys have sort of given up the game and said, what's the difference if I list it? He's not trying to do a short sale. So let's see how many there are. 1,319. Let me show you what they are. From the public records, these are multifamilies less than 10, pre-foreclosed. List pendants has been delivered. Very oftentimes it's also delivered to every tenant and they stop paying. So these can be very highly motivated sellers. So again, once again, I'm just going to hit search. 1,319 as we saw. And I'm going to go back to the templates. So when you first open the templates, you're seeing me make some clicks here that are pretty fast. But when you go to advanced search, any area or file that you're in is bolded. So I'm in search, advanced search. Here's the templates, which I just clicked on. So I really only have 1 click, 2 clicks. I drop down the ones that are available for you. These are the super Freddy templates. And I'm going to look at not for sale, not in foreclosure, but upside down. Okay, these are single family homes, not in foreclosure, but upside down. These are the people who are still making their mortgage payments and probably shouldn't be, or they're very close to being upside down. So we're going to select those and see how many of these there are. There's a bunch, so it's taking a moment or so to search public records, clerk of the court, so on and so forth. So here we are. We have 59,416 individuals who are upside down and still making their mortgage payment. This is a targeted market list for door hangers, letters. These people are going to be short sales for you. Let's go back. Again, we're going to go to our templates, drop them down. Next one is not for sale. Again, all of these are not for sale. Single family homes, pre-foreclosed, list pendants has been delivered with less than 20% debt to equity, and only since January 1st of 2013. So they're very recent ones. If we used all of them in the search, just going back, we'd have too many. Then the ones that go back further are ones that may not be motivated. They've been in there for years. So we're going to select, hit search. There's 2,233 target market prospects who should be motivated or will be motivated eventually. I'm going to do it one more time to show you something here. I'm going to go to Dade, and I'm not neglecting Palm Beach for any specific reason. I just want to see how many are in Dade. Okay, so there you go. There's 1,510. Now let's go back. So before we go on to the next search, I want to show you one other thing. If you notice down here at the bottom, it says entry date, equal or greater to. Now here is 2013-01-01. That's January 1st, 2013. All right, so what we're going to do is look at how to change this date. Very simply, let's assume that I want to go back to June of 2012, and I'm going to say let's do June 1st. Now watch what happens. You'll see that the date changed. If I come back up here to search, we'll see, I think we had 1,500 before. I think we're going to see there should be more. 3,200. So by simply going back a little bit further, it comes up with a significant amount of additional prospects. So let's go back to our searches again. We're going to go through these one at a time so you have them. The flip side of this, we just looked at pre-foreclosed that are upside down with less than 20% equity, with minus 20% debt to equity. Now we're going to look at not for sale, pre-foreclosed with equity, 20% or greater debt to equity. These are the ones that are pre-foreclosed single-family homes that actually have equity in them. So you may not even be able to do a short sale, but they have equity in them. We're seeing more of these crop up, especially with what's happened in the marketplace with prices coming back somewhat. Again, this is only Broward County. There's 1,159. I'm going to go back and do the next search. This is not for sale, single family probates. We did probates before above, but they were for sale. These are not for sale and not owner occupied. 613. Again, you have the ability to do the Tri-County area. So this number that you see, 613, can easily be multiplied by nearly 3 times that amount if you're going to do that specific search. Let's go back once more. The last search is not for sale, single family homes, probates, it says owner occupied. And we're going to select that and check and see how many we have. 1,639 just in Broward County is the county that I'm in right now. Okay, for the next example, what we're going to do is, again, we're going to pick a search. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use for sale single family homes that are potentially REOs. I'm going to load the template, but now what I'm going to do is a geographic search. It says search by map. We'll do some other ones, but let's start out with a search by map. This is a map. This is a little icon about where I happen to be sitting at the moment, or at least my IP address is. And what I'm going to do is go focus in. I have no idea what's in here, but we're going to pick a shape, square, and within this square, now this can be a neighborhood or whatever else you want it to be, in that square is what we're going to choose to search for, and here's the results. 6. May not sound like a large number, it doesn't matter. These are in a small area that I chose. So let's go back to search, and the next thing I want to do, I'm going to reset this, and I want to search in a specific zip code. I'm going to come down here and use exact. I'm just going to pick a zip code. So I'm going to be in 33023 searching essentially for REOs. And I found 7. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come out of our geographic search, so to speak, and we're going to take away our zip code that we chose. And this time what we're going to do is actually pick a city. So if you said to me, what REOs are available in Weston, again, these are for sale. We're not looking at the not for sales because we can't do anything with those. I'm going to go ahead and search. And we have 6 properties in Weston, coincidentally, that are bank owned. Here you can see it says foreclosed on each one of them. So once again, I'm going to go back to the search, and we're going to look at another search function. So here we are. So I'm back on my advanced search. Now, if you reset it, you're going to take away the template that you have in there. And all we really want to do is take out Weston. The benefit of this search, it's a GPS search. And if you have a tablet and you're in the field and it's a wireless tablet connected to one of the carriers, you can literally bring this up and see where the REOs are around you. So let's look at this GPS function. We're going to do a half-mile radius. This half-mile radius is actually a box, 1/2 mile on each side, with you centered in it. Okay, so what we're going to look at now is a GPS rendering of where we are and what prospects are around us. We're going to pick our template, and we're going to look for, we're out on the road, so to speak, with an iPad or a tablet or your phone, and we're going to look for REOs within, I'm going to say, a half-mile radius of where we are. This is our template that we have. Now, before I had city of Weston in here, you have to take that out, and you have to take out any zip codes that will confuse it. What we do is we literally come up here to this little icon. It says find location. Now when I click it on, another box is going to come up and ask me for permission, which you have to say yes or you're going to lose out. It's not going to come up at all. It's going to spin like it's trying to find locations, but you'll get no answer. So watch what happens. Upper left corner of the screen. Half-mile radius, I'm going to get it. Now watch for the box to come up. I have to say share location, and here's what it is. Here's the IP address that I'm broadcasting out of right now, or getting data from, and it drew a half-mile box around that location. If I search it, now these are REOs, potential REOs. There you go. There's only 4 in that small box. Now, one of the things that's happening right now is there's a very small number of REOs that are actually listed, and I've taken a smaller area, so don't be surprised if these numbers are small. You can do the entire county at one time. This is just an example of how you can be on the road driving for dollars and focus on specific properties that you want to go by and see. So what we're going to do now is go to the next function that we're going to look at. I'm going back to search. I'm going to reset here. I'm going to go to my template, and once again I'm just going to pick on REOs, for example. Now these are the entire county the way the template's set up. These are for sale, single families, REOs. So here we are back with our template for sale, single family, foreclosed properties. What we're going to do is go ahead and do a search. You see we have 234. Now what I'm going to do is go to the advanced result next. So up till now all I've given you is a big set of numbers, 200, 1500, so on and so forth. Let's now talk about how we use these numbers. Okay, now we have available to us two types of templates. First of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort these in ascending order. Alright, so now I have a list of the 200 or whatever that we actually had, and what I want to do is I want to look at a second template. These are templates we hadn't talked about before, but as you'll notice they're mentor program by owner or by owner for sale. Now I'm going to look at first the for sale owner templates. And if I want to change the order that these are in, I just simply check here. It changes them around. One of the things that I want you to see is because they're for sale, I'm moving the screen up and down just a bit here. We have two things to look at, what's called an active equity and a potential equity. What they mean is just scroll your mouse over top and there it says. You can't see it all on the screen because the screen's cut off, but same thing for potential equity. Those you can sort by, whether they're negative or positive and so on. Now let's go back, and what I want to do is, here's the owners of these properties. I want to put into the follow system a number of these properties, and I'm just going to pick, in this case, 5. They happen to all be Wells Fargo's. They don't have to be. They could be U.S. Bank or any ones you want. So these are ones that I want to save into my follow system. Up here is the icon. Whenever you put your mouse over any of the icons, it's going to tell you what they are so you don't have to memorize them. Well, before I do that, let me do one other thing. I want to also look at the other template by owner. And what you have in this case is, if I move the screen, you do not have the potential equity and so on. All you have is the actual owners of the property. But we want to look at the ones that are for sale. So I'm going back, but now we're going to go to the follow system and put them in the follow system. I click this on, and these are going to go into my buying side. Since I'm not selling anything of these, I'm just trying to buy them. Okay, so they've been successfully completed. So now what we're going to do is take these particular ones that we've chosen, going to put them into the follow-up system. So let's go to follow-up. What we have here is a dashboard, and you can see that there are 5 that are in the dashboard. But what we're going to do is go to buying, and you see there's none here. What happened? Well, every time you add something, you should refresh. Here's a little refresh icon, and here they are. They're all active because they have green dots, and there is nothing that's been done to them yet. So what we're going to do next is we're going to wind up sending out a contract here, but we have to do a couple of things first. Let's pick, in this case, all of the contracts. And now remember, these are for sale, so there's a realtor involved with an email address, phone number, and so on. And what we want to do is come to the blonde girl, I'm going to call her. It says get contacts. This is getting the contacts from the system of the already known agents. And here's what our choices are. Block properties if the contracts are blocked. Yes or no. That means that if you've blocked out an agent for some reason, you can say yes and he'll stay blocked. If you don't care, then you're going to hit no. In this case, I'm just going to say no. And the next question is, very important, override existing contacts. That means that if in the system there is a newer contact, John Smith, real estate agent, or you have already updated John Smith, you have a choice here. Update it using the system's updates would be yes, or if you don't want to have it updated because you've done it yourself and you're not sure what the override is going to look like, you can say no. In this case, I'm going to say yes. Now, when it says get premium contacts, this is a special feature of REIFax. If you're an annual subscriber, then this is going to come up and give you those automatically. If you're not an annual subscriber, you're not entitled and you can't get them by simply clicking yes. These are hand sorted for the agent's current email address and current telephone numbers, and they're kept in a separate file. So what we're going to do is say no, and it's processing, as you see, all 5 of them. None of the properties were blocked. We ask it not to block them. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make an offer price on these properties using Freddie as our guideline. So now that we have the 5 that we've chosen, they're in the follow system. What we're going to do is get into writing the contracts. In this case, I'm going to choose all of them. But we have to now generate a price that we're going to make the offer at. And we're going to use Freddie for this. I click him on. For right now, you're using 75% unless we change it. And we've in the past changed it up and down at different times depending on market conditions. The round up or round down number doesn't matter. 500 is the default and it's fine, but we're always going to use median rather than low. I say get values. Freddie's processing them. He's looking at each one of them, making a decision on the price. And here it is. Here's the list price and the offer price for each one of them. And as you can see, it's in some cases well below. As a matter of fact, in this case, it's 38% of the list price. Now, if you're saying to yourself, gee, that's very low, well, there's a couple reasons it could be. This price of 66 could be very high. A very common tactic by realtors is put it out there very high. Investors start swarming around and they're offering below that, and some cases above that, but let's say they offer below that, but well above market value without knowing it. So Freddie takes all of that into account for you. So that would be your offer to begin with. So now we have offering prices, and the next thing we want to do is actually send a contract. To get there, as you notice, the contact name in here are the actual agents. I want to actually send out these contracts, but I don't want to send out live contracts, so to speak, to these agents with the offers we have. I want to send them to people we know. Now, this may come up for you because let's say Mr. Edwards, for example, doesn't take his emails. He has Janet Smith in his office take the emails. We may want to change that to read Janet Smith and send it to her directly. So there's different uses that you have for this, but let's go over here and see how we do it first. Click on what looks like the little eyeball. We're going to go to the contact, and this is the contact information for Mr. Edwards. This is the most recent contact information that we have. May not be correct. He may have changed firms or whatever else. But what we want to do is we want to add a contact, and it comes up blank. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one of our people in our system. This is the person I'm going to choose. This is email, cell phone. I'm going to put save. I'm going to say yes. If you notice, I have contact one of two being the default. What we're going to do is go to number 2 and set him now as the principal contact. Say yes, and we're going to close this. It didn't change, and the reason it didn't change is because, again, we need to refresh. Whenever you do something to the system, always refresh it. And here you see that Marco is now the contact name. One of the questions you ask me every once in a while is, how do I send you, Dave Dinkle, a contract to review? I just showed you how to do it. You bring up the contract you want to do. Don't send me 5. They're all going to be the same, but only different prices. Pick one contract, put myself, my email address, info@AOREIA. It doesn't matter. Just send it out that way and let us see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop for a minute and change these other ones so you don't have to see me go through the boring details, and then we'll come back in a minute. Alright, so let's write contracts here. First thing we're going to do, I'm going to check all of them. What we've done is, if you notice, as I said, we were going to change people that were going to receive these. Here are names you know and love, so to speak. And what we're going to do is go to the contract, where the rubber meets the road. Now, first thing I'm going to do, remember we've already chosen the price. Freddie has done that for us, so each one of these properties has a price associated with it. But these are REOs, so we're going to pick our REO contract. Initial deposit, I'm going to say $1,000. If it happens to be a Fannie Mae property, it's not going to be $1,000 unless the property is $10,000. That'll be taken care of for you. As you know, in REOs are 10 days. Inspection period is what we're hoping for. If this was a short sale, these would be blank. It's not. It's an REO, so an acceptance and closing date are standard. Now, as you come down, what I want you to look at is additional documents and option. Lead-based paint disclosure, proof of funds, and proof of funds $200,000. You only need one proof of funds. Do not send 2 of them. This one should be for $150. We're going to send the one for $150. Therefore, I'm taking out the one for $200. if you're going to change the buyer name that you have been set up with, look at your templates and you'll see what you were set up with. Here's the time and place to do it. Otherwise, we come down and we're going to send these by email. Now remember, I have already changed the email addresses, so the only people, this is actually going to go out to the people that we know and love. We're going to add an escrow letter. This is the place to do it. Now down below here where it says documents to show in the follow-up system, this is important. It's important so you can track what was sent. You can actually see them later. We're going to send the proof of funds. Here it is over here. We're going to send the earnest money deposit and also any addendums, which would include the earnest money deposit or anything else you have, like in a short sale that has a short sale addendum. These are loaded into your templates already. So what I want to do first is we're just going to go ahead and view these and see what they look like. Now as this is loading, what I want to mention to you is the screen that I have set up for this video capture is only getting half of this right-hand page, and it's not getting the left-hand side that shows them in small size, so you can actually click and change and so on. We're going to roll this together so you can see what's in here. This is your contract. Here's the offering price determined by Freddie automatically. There's your deposit. This is how much is due. The acceptance date is here. Again, closing date. There, each page is initialed and it's checked according to what we want to do. For example, may not assign the contract here where it says assignability because it's an REO, financing cash buyer. And as I go down the page, all of the pages are filled in for you. So I'm going to go all the way down to the clauses, and if you remember in REO clauses, there are none. Here you can see there are no clauses. Now let's see what else we've done. We've checked some other boxes. This is the escrow deposit. This happens to be August 1st. There it is. And it happens to mention the property's address. So you have an escrow deposit of $1,000 with independent title for that specific property. On the right-hand side, you can see lead-based paint disclosure. It's initialed where appropriate and signed where appropriate. Now, this is your letter of credit, and for you guys that say letter of credit they won't accept, here's the proof of funds. This is actually this account in Regions, and it has a balance. I don't know if you can see it on the video. It's in this case it's $280,000 or so. So you have the signed contract, the initial contract, and the addendums, and it's all done for you. Now what we're going to do next is I'm actually going to send these guys out. So I've come back to my dashboard area on the contract manager, and I'm going to push send email. Now a bar is going to come up and it's going to show you them being processed. Warn you ahead of time, watch for it. It doesn't take long. Here they are, 1 of 5, 2 of 5, 3 of 5. As it finishes the 4th and 5th contract, these have been sent out to each of the people that we changed it to. Otherwise it would have been the listing agent. And they've also been put into the follow system, which we're going to go back and check. There they are. All 5 have been sent out, and I didn't notify the people that were going to receive them, so we'll probably get some calls. Sent 5 contracts, and it says contracts not sent 0, meaning they all 5 went out. If it comes back and says contracts not sent 1, you have a problem with the email address. So we're going to say okay. Now that we've sent them, I'm going to close the contract manager. Here we are back at the follow system, and you'll notice here they are. They've all been sent with, again, if you don't know what C means, there it is: contract, proof of funds, earnest money deposit, and addendums. Now these 5 people have received our completed contracts with the addendums, earnest money, and so on and so forth. But we want to go one step further here. And this is a kind of key. This is sort of a key to what some of the larger producers are doing to make sure they get a response. We're going to click all of them on again. Remember, these are our insiders, but their phone numbers, their cell phone numbers have been put into the system. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to send them a text. Now, here is a default template. It's important that somewhere along the line you're going to customize your new template to do that, and we're going to have another video on how to customize your template. But for right now, I'm going to send a text message with that default template, and in it, it will talk about the address of the property. So here we go. There it is, processing again. Again, this is actually sending a text message to their cell phones. This is real time, so it's the function of your processing speed in your computer. Here's what's interesting. 4 of them were sent. In one case, I didn't put a cell number. I put the office number. And as you see, it says not sent. So we're going to say okay. All right, so now what we're going to do is let's check and see what's actually happened with what we've done in the follow system. I'm going to simply choose this property. And here it says it's active for sale, contract sent, so on and so forth. Next thing I'm going to do is go into the history of this particular property, and here's what it shows me. Now in any of these we can just cursor over to find out what this means. This says sent offer, but it covers a number of things, which I'll show you in a second. To look at each of these, what we do is we open this little plus box, and here it says the completed task. This is the first part. When you cursor down, you see it becomes gray. New calculated offer price. You remember doing that with Freddie? It calculated all the offers. There it is. That's what that little, in this case, what that icon meant. Here's the second set. Completed task. Contract and documents sent by bulk contract. You notice this little view tab. I'm going to look at it now. I'm kind of ahead of the game here, but let's look at it because it's going to show you what you actually sent. This is the email. Dear Marco, we sent a cash offer on the property. You can edit this and set up your own templates. This is the default template that I mentioned. It happens to have a URL below it, and this URL is on the server in Reifax. And here it is. There's our contract. Here's who the seller is, Wells Fargo. The buyer is Francisco in this case. And here's our contract as you saw it with the proof of funds, the escrow deposit, and everything else that we had on it. So now what I'm going to do is go back. When it says close on this, never use a back arrow as you do in most programs. When you use this close, it just takes you back to the last screen. Here's the last screen we were at. Now here is the last task that we did. If I look over here, it says sent SMS, which is a text message. So you say to me, well, what's the text message? Here it is. Let's view the content of the text message. We sent an offer for the property address 7950 Redwood Lane. Please call us back at. Now this is your number in the system, and this is a text message to whoever the listing agent is if you have his cell phone. If you don't have his cell phone, you're going to get the message back that it didn't go through. Let's say it's his office phone, for example. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to click on close again. Brings us back to the history. And I'm going to close this screen because we have the information we wanted to see. Takes us back to the follow screen. In this case, we know that Marco already sent us back an answer to our request. The contract information, the template, the default template email that we sent to him. So that needs to go into the follow system. What we need to do now is sync our email system, which is where it went back to, so it has an email address, into the follow system. So that's what we're going to do next. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the My Emails tab. Most important, we need to sync your emails. I mentioned it before. And we're just going to put sync emails. Here it initialized it and did it in a flash. And what we have here is this is Marco's email and text, as a matter of fact, back to our email. Now, how do we know it's Marco? See this little man's head? It says Marco. If you look at the next thing on the little house, it says 7950 Redwood Lane. That's the property that we're actually doing. So the follow system is cognizant of what property is being emailed in or texted out. Otherwise, when you get a few hundred properties in your system, you'd never be able to handle them. And this is from the email address that it came from and so on. So what we're doing now is we're going to click this on and look at what Marco's response was. And it was simply, thank you, I'll let you know as soon as possible. Click close, takes me back to the emails. From there, I'm going to go back to buying, which brings me back to my follow system for those 5 particular properties I've been looking at. Check and see that in our follow system, Marco's response came back. This is the one we're watching, Redwood. We're going to go to the history again, and here is the new blue button which came up, and it says receive text message. So what I'm going to do is open all of these just so you can see the progression. And here it is, view content. Again, thank you, I'll let you know as soon as possible. It's exactly what we saw in our email account. So one of the things we want to handle that's also new to the system is Fannie Mae contract. So I'm going to go up to search, and now remember I'm going to load my template for potential REOs right here. Selecting that template, it's filled it in already. This is the easy way to search for it. You can do other criteria. The reality is if you start using letters and words, you're going to miss out on some of the spellings and so on of the same lender. But let's make contracts go out here, and you can play with that stuff in your own time. So as you can see, we found 234 properties, but let's very specifically go to the advanced result and take a look at these. Okay, now we have the result of the REOs, and what we're going to do is go to our template and look for the owners of the property. Now, what I want to do is specifically take 2 of these, happen to be a Fannie Mae property, and I want to go and do the contracting with you to show you the new templates for the Fannie Mae contracting. So first we're going to go to the follow system and put them in the follow system. These are on our buying side. Now we're going to go to the follow up. If you remember, we had 5 before. Now we have 7. So now we're going to go to buying, and you'll notice that we have all 7 in our follow system, but 2 of them do not have contact information. So we're going to pick these 2. Since these are Fannie Mae properties that we sorted that are for sale, what we're going to do is go to the blonde person, ask her to not block any properties, override existing, yes, and we do not have premium. And what we now have is 2 new agents that are actually the listing agents on those property in the follow system. So again, we're going to work on these 2 specific properties. So as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm clicking them on, and we're going to go to Freddie to make the offer. Until further notice, you're going to use 75 median, as I had said before. We're going to get the values, and you'll watch here, you'll see the values get filled in. There they are. Okay, now what we're going to do is go to our contracting. Because I didn't do it right, it gave me an error message. So we're going to do it right. There we go. Now, this particular contract we're going to be using is a Fannie Mae. So we're going to load it with Fannie Mae. It requires a deposit. Now, Fannie Mae's are always 10%. You don't put up $1,000 and then the rest of the 10% after inspection. It's 10%. However, the program requires some deposit in this field. The number of days for Fannie Mae is 10. It's fine to leave these dates in. As you'll notice, the Fannie Mae addendum now comes up with a contract and it's checked. It's asking for proof of funds. I'm not going to send both of them, so uncheck one of them. And we come over to the other side. Presumably your buyer name will be the same. We're going to send the contract by email. We're going to send an escrow letter because they requested proof of funds. Now again, these are going to be in your follow system, and that's the reason for checking them here. And the addendum, of course, is the Fannie Mae addendum. So if I hit send email, these contracts will be generated and go to the agent. What we're going to do is we're actually just going to view them in this case. How the deposit or earnest money, EMD, is actually calculated automatically for you. So here we are. This purchase price generated by Freddie is $243,500. The initial deposit is 10% of that, as you can see, and of course it subtracts it out. Now let's go down looking at all the different, don't worry if this is blurred. It will fill itself in for you as it loads. We're just moving fairly quickly here. So here we have our escrow deposit on the left, and the real estate addendum on the right is actually the Fannie Mae addendum that's already filled for you. Here's the purchase price, deposit amount, and as we go through here, this is the important one. Number 14 is the deed restriction. What it's done, it's taken your offering price, multiplied it times 120%, and included 3 months as the deed restriction to not be able to sell it above that price. So this Fannie Mae addendum, which is 14 pages, is completed. Don't worry about it taking a little time to load because you're loading a 26 or 27 page document. What's important on the Fannie Mae document, in addition to that, is we're allowed to choose the closing agent, and the closing agent's information needs to go on the very last page. It says here purchaser's attorney. That's your attorney, and you need to fill this in when you know who your attorney is going to be. Very simple to change the template. Here is the proof of funds. It's blurred, but it's still downloading. So everything is here that you need to automatically send out the Fannie Mae contract, which is a new addition to the Super Freddie that we have. Now what I've done is I've come back to the buying section of the follow system, and the 2 contracts that we just did, here they are checked. However, I didn't send them out. I viewed them only, and here you can see that these are not checked in green, indicating it was not sent out. So if you think you sent something out, come back, always refresh, and check to see if it actually did go out. So now we're back in the follow system in the buying part. Here's the properties we've been looking at. But let's say that you don't get a text message or an email, but you want to add some comment to what you're following on a specific property. Let's take this property, for example. We just click anything on here for this property. This drop-down menu comes in, and it says Add to History. What I'm going to do is look at what I can add. Some of these are already pre-prepared for you. I'm just going to say Make a Note. And in the note, I'm going to say he gave up, meaning the agent finally just gave up and gave us the deal. Check it out as offer received. I'm going to add it to the follow system. Okay, it says new follow history. If you notice, this little icon went green, means that something else is in there. Now, to be able to see that, what we're going to do is just click on this property. This is the follow history. This is the dashboard. And what we're going to do is look at history. And here it is down here. I cursor over it. It says make note. If I open it up, it says he gave up. That's what we want to see. We want to see agents give up on us. What I want to say in closing is this is the training video that we talked about to show you how to use the templates. You also know now how to use the contracting and Freddie, as well as the new Fannie Mae addendum contract. So have a great day. Play the video back over and over if you have to get it, but if you have problems, you can always call and ask. And thanks very much for attending. This video is about finding cash buyers. What we're going to do is log in, go to Buyer Pro, and this is the menu that comes up. What we're going to do to begin with is set the current county we're in. In this case, I'm going to use Broward. I'm going to look at single family homes, and I'm going to look in a specific zip code. What I'm going to do is go for buyers. All right, we see that we have 169 cash buyers. We have 169 cash buyers in this specific zip code. As you can see, these are in this case, LLCs or incorporated entities, and how many they actually own. Now, by clicking them on, you can actually go and see every one of their properties. That's not what we're trying to do here. I just want you to see how to get them. Because you can see what properties they own, you can also see in details what their mailing address is. Cash buyers are time sensitive. They are buyers that have been in the property for virtually less than a year. Now we're going to go on to cash holders. These cash holders are specifically entities, and there's no time frame on here. These go back as far as the public record goes that are available. So what you're going to see is a crossover. Cash buyers and cash holders will also be in the list, and you'll recognize those lists overlap. Now the next thing we have is out-of-state owners. This search very simply states for people who are living out of state. The mailing address is different, and they have purchased properties. And they can be individuals. Here's one here. Does not have to be an LLC. However, the out-of-state holders are going to be very specifically incorporated entities, LLCs or S Corps. Now, international buyers, and there may not be any in this zip code. We'll look at another zip code to show you some. And we have no records to display. Are buyers that have purchased properties that could be an entity or a non-entity, but they have an international mailing address. International holders are in fact international companies, LLCs, corporations, who have held properties for an indeterminate amount of time. So let's go back to our search for a minute, and I'm going to pick a name, which is Brickell, and I'm going to go to Dade County. This is a very well-known thoroughfare in Dade County, and I'm also going to change to condos because there happens to be a bunch of condos down there, and the purpose of this is to show you what the international buyers and holders look like. So we're not going to look at cash buyers right now. We're going to go directly to the international buyers, and as you see, there's 280, and you'll notice that these are both in this case entity as well as individuals, and you can see how many they purchased. Generally speaking, if they own more than one, the second one or both of them are investment properties. And the international holders, you can see that they all own one, but they're held in entities, corporations or LLCs. If you want to see what they are exactly, just take that column and make it larger. Now you have their mailing address, so these are prospects for you. For example, if you're a real estate agent and you say, gee, I wish I could get all those in one easy format, you can actually do this by a specific building, or however you want to do it, by the whole county or a zip code, and put these into an Excel spreadsheet, print them into a PDF format, or actually print labels to do the mailings with. So as simple as this looked, it actually is that simple. So this is your training video on how to find cash buyers. What you need to do next is set up a qualified mailing campaign or a method of contacting them directly. Thanks for joining us. Looking forward to seeing you soon.